Thanks for joining us today. Today's edition of Ask a Leopard Owner takes us to Fort Lauderdale, Florida on a Leopard 45 sailing catamaran. Before introducing Adrienne and Jeff, I want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Chris, and in addition to being a Leopard 45 owner myself, I get to work with members of the Leopard community, helping to share their stories of adventure, curiosity, and exploration on their Leopard. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Today's session is being recorded and will be published on leopardcatamarans.com in the coming days. In other words, don't worry about writing everything down. You'll receive an email to this video once it's published. To submit your questions at any point today, go ahead and click the Q&A button at the bottom of this screen. We'll do our best to answer all of your questions, but if we run out of time, we'll share an email address at the end to submit your questions. And lastly, there's a 2-question survey that will pop up after we wrap up today. We'd love your feedback so we can learn what you liked and things we could do better in future editions. Let's take a quick look at what we're going to cover. So first, we'll learn about Adrienne and Jeff. We'll talk a little bit about why they chose a Leopard 45. We'll learn about their journey from having their boat in the yacht ownership program to their experience today, some of their must-haves on board, and we'll have discussion and Q&A at the end. So Adrienne and Jeff, thank you so much for taking some time on a Friday to share your story. Tell us a little bit more about yourselves.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hey everybody, welcome.
So just a little bit about our backgrounds. I grew up sailing with my dad. We lived in Clearwater when I was growing up, and we had a Morgan 38 monohull. We sailed that for many, many years, and I lived on it for a little bit with him in high school. So that's my experience sailing before we got into this.
And I basically grew up sailing little sunfish on in my summer camp up in New Hampshire. So it's a pretty good natural progression from going from a 13-foot sunfish to a 45, 48-foot catamaran. It's kind of like the same thing, right?
Philosophies are the same.
Yeah, still sails. Just doesn't tip over as much.
Right, right. So we got married in 2008 and blended our families. I have 2 kids, he has 2 kids, and they're all grown now. We have a 5-year-old grandson, and we have a granddaughter along the way. And we'll have her in July, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, we met in 2006. We met in 2007, and we were both divorced after 18 years of marriage, and we started dating, and she said, do you like motorcycles? And I said, I love motorcycles. I always wanted to ride, but my ex-wife, my mother, would never let me get a motorcycle. And she's like, let's get motorcycles. I'm like, cool. So we got licenses. And then she's like, do you like sailing? I'm like, I always loved sailing, but my ex-wife and mother always got seasick. And she's like, well, let's get a sailboat. I'm like, let's just get married. This is perfect.
So we did.
So how's that?
Yep, we did. And now we're retired. Luckily, I retired 1.5 years ago. Jeff retired 2.5 years ago.
Right.
And you want to talk about
so
our other big passion?
Yeah, besides sailing, we ride motorcycles. We had 4 motorcycles. We just sold 2 of them. So we got a couple still left over just in case. Can't fit them on the back of the boat though. No. And our passion the last 4 years or so was, it's like our shameless plug it's a charity organization, a 501c3 called Bikers Against Child Abuse, or BACA. And it's this really amazing organization where we, as bikers, we empower abused children to not feel afraid. We take them into our biker family. We go to court with them. We're there for them 24/7. So it was an amazing thing that we've done the last few years. We kind of have to give it up because it's kind of almost a full-time commitment. But that's our shameless plug for the other thing we love besides sailing.
But if you look at our logo, it's our boater cycle.
Right.
We did design that with the help of a friend of ours, and the name Wind Therapy is a motorcycle term. When you've just stressed out and you have to get the wind in your hair, you go for a motorcycle ride. Well, we do the same thing with sailboats.
Right.
So
instead of going 80 though, we're only going 8.
Right, big difference. Okay, so we have a YouTube channel. It is just for fun. We're not monetizing, no commercials, just saying. We started out as really, it's our diary, and we wanted our friends and families to be able to see what we're doing and follow us along, and most of them don't really care. So we're hoping that other people will watch it just because it's fun, and maybe they'll find something in it useful.
Yeah, my mom the other day said, I watch all your videos. I'm like, that's great, Mom. She was, I love the one with the fish. I'm like, that was from 9 months ago, Ma, but that's okay. That was your last one that you watched.
That's right.
She just doesn't understand the whole YouTube thing.
So anyway, check it out if you want to. What?
Guys, quick question. I know there's lots of folks who have sailing channels. If you had to describe kind of your channel in a couple sentences, I know you said diary, but what would folks expect to see if they followed you on that?
So it's really us being us, right? So we're not here to show how to do everything. We're not here to show every little item of the boat. It's more like how we're living our lives, how we're going about things. Something breaks, hey, if something broke, we see how we can fix it. And when I say we, I really mean Adrienne fixes everything. I just hand her the tools. So it's just, you know, it's not detailed on specifics with every nuance of the boat. It's more like how we're living on the boat, how we're experiencing it, and what we're doing.
Yeah, some channels are into how do you fix this or how do you do that, and it's not an educational channel. No. It's how we're learning how to do this, and it's just for fun, and we think it's fun. So
and awesome. Basically, if we can do it, anyone can do it.
Oh yeah, if we can do it,
right? So we're relatively new, and if we can fix something, when we show someone how we fixed it, that means anyone can do it.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
So how did this all start? Shortly after we got married, we went to the St. Petersburg Boat Show because we lived in St. Pete, and it was fun. And then we ended up going to the Miami Boat Show, and we just kind of kicked around, you know, if we ever decided to live on a boat, what kind of boat would we want? And for some reason, we really started thinking about that. I grew up on monohulls. Catamarans have more room on them. I have a lot of shoes. I got rid of a lot of shoes.
You did.
But I also have a tendency to get seasick. So I wanted something that was a little more stable. And so we kind of said, okay, in a fantasy world, if we were going to do this, what kind of boat would we want? And we decided on a cat.
Right. And then one day she said to me, she's like, and this is like right before that, she's like, would you be okay with like just getting rid of everything and moving onto a sailboat and just sailing around the world? And I'm like, wow, seriously? And she's like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah, why not?
Yeah, I really never thought about that, but yeah. I love sailing, but yeah, let's see if we can do that.
And then Jeff found, I guess it was an ad in the back of a sail magazine, you found the Distant Shores DVD set.
No, right? we watched them, and they
we watched some of them. Okay.
Right.
And so Jeff found it. He bought the entire season on DVD, and we watched the entire season.
Not the season, the series.
Series, yeah, we watched the entire series, and we were so sad when it was over. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to watch now? And that was when we discovered YouTube.
Right.
And started watching that, and we decided, you know what, let's do this.
Right. And then when we got to meet them.
Oh yeah, at the Annapolis Boat Show in 2019.
When we got to meet the Shards, they're like sailing rock stars to us, you know. Yeah. And it's like, it was weird. It's like we were like groupies of them, and it was amazing to see them. And then we bumped into them in the Bahamas a few months later, and we got to have dinner with them, and it was just, you know, hanging out with like rock stars, but they were sailing gods to us. So we love them. They taught us a lot of things without realizing it.
They were instrumental in our decision to do this too, right. I think. Yeah. Okay.
So, and same thing with Nikki and Jason from Gone with the Winds. They're amazing, and we got a cool picture with them the other day. Or last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you talk about the books and stuff? Or
love John Kretschmer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He writes, he's like the captain of, I don't know, scary water sailing, or I don't know how you want to say it. He's got a book called Sailing a Serious Ocean, and that's always been a big fear of mine, is, you know, danger at sea, and he writes a lot about that. He teaches people how to do that. So we just devoured all of his books. So read every sail magazine and Cruising World magazine, and we just decided to do it.
Right. So that's that.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So yeah,
there's our house.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny, we had no pictures of the house. No. You can find it. So we had a 3,000 square foot house. 7 years ago, we got rid of all the kids. They all grew up and moved out.
We didn't kick them out. They moved out.
Yeah, we kind of kicked them. They moved out.
But we got a small condo, so they couldn't come back.
Right. So we only got a 2-bedroom condo. Say, sorry, no room for you guys anymore. Good luck. You're on your own.
Yeah.
So we downsized from a big house to a 1,500 square foot condo right in downtown St. Petersburg on Central Avenue. It was awesome. Yeah. We still love that place more than anything. And then from there, we're going to a little boat. So we downsize and downsize and downsize.
Yeah, I'm not going smaller than this one.
No, nothing smaller.
No. And So this boat that we have now is Leopard 45. It is a, and we'll talk about this more later, but it is the 4-cabin, 4-head version because we purchased it through the Moorings, and we'll talk about that. We picked it up in November of 2019 from the British Virgin Islands. We sailed it 1,400 miles back to St. Petersburg with a quick 7-week stop at Just Catamarans in Dania Beach, which is where we are right now.
And my friend Dave says, like, where are we right now? We are in the cradle of catamaran civilization.
Yeah, that's where we are.
That's here at Just Catamarans and Dania Beach, and Leopard's also right here.
Yeah.
Cradle of catamaran civilization.
I like that.
Yeah.
In November and December, we started moving on board, and you know, we got on board, and in January we started sailing from St. Petersburg to here to Dania Beach, and I was very unsettled, and I couldn't figure out why, and I just had all this anxiety. You know, is it because we were moving? Is it because we were leaving the kids at home? I couldn't figure it out. And then I stepped on board your boat, Chris, and I went, oh my God, I can breathe on this boat.
It's not cluttered.
It's not cluttered. There's not crap everywhere. There's not 27 liquor bottles and 2 snack baskets everywhere. And so that was when we decided it's time to purge. We didn't purge, but we're working on it.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff got given away again.
Yeah, again. And that's kind of where we are right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just gave it
so
a ton of
just interesting call out here. You know, a lot of folks who who are here right now are in the column on the left, or maybe they still have the traditional house. So it's interesting the progression that you guys took over. How many years was this?
Yeah.
And did you always have the angle of saying, hey, let's get rid of the big house because we know we want to be on a sailboat in 5 years? Or what was it was?
Right.
Yeah, well, we can actually talk about that in an upcoming slide, but yeah, we got the big house because when we got married, we both had both of our children.
All 4 of them.
All 4 kids. So we needed a big house. We needed to be, you know, where the other parent was. And I'm not a big house person, right? That's not who I am. And we hate the homeowners associations and the restrictions, and we hated all of that. So we were very, very happy to dump that anyway. And we thought, well, this is a great progression. If we want to live on this sailboat, let's dump the house, go to a small condo and start there. So we did that. But it's amazing how much stuff you can pack into a small condo. And,
which we just learned last week.
And we made, I don't know how many trips we made to Salvation Army and Casa just to get rid of our things. And then everything that was left just migrated to the boat, and we still have way too much stuff. So now we need to, Chris, I just need you to come over and just tell me what I need to get rid of.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So that's how that's working.
Yeah. And then, like, being in the homeowners association in that big neighborhood, it's like there's so many rules, and as bikers and sailors, I feel like rules don't really apply to, at least to me. So I just ride my motorcycle, park it wherever I want to.
Yeah.
Same thing with the boat. Except on the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on. Oh,
our journey.
Yeah. Well, it looks a little different than the 2 previous webinars that you guys have done. We purchased our first boat. Actually, we purchased both of our boats through the Moorings charter program, and we're going to get to the reasoning behind that later. But we did that in 2013 after we had taken a week-long blue water sailing school.
But before that, in 2011, we really started talking about, we started going to boat shows, and like, let's start looking at boats, what we want to do, you know, what boat do we want? How do we want to do this? So we started really seriously in 2011.
Yeah, we did. And we took our blue water sailing school on a catamaran. My parents rented another catamaran. They rented the Leopard 48, and we had a family vacation on that in the BVI. So we sailed in blue water sailing school for a week, spent a week on the Leopard 48, fell in love with the Leopard brand, and then we decided how we asked, you know, how are we going to buy this boat, because this is what we wanted. And we'll get back to some of that, but the Leopard 48 that we had actually perished in Hurricane Irma, so that was really sad. But we replaced it with this boat, and we love this boat very much.
And we could talk about that in a second also. But that's when we came up with like a 5 to 7 year plan.
Right.
You know, and the plan was basically to, I mean, we're going to talk about that next, actually.
No, I think the plan is now.
Okay, we're going to talk about it now. We'll talk about Leopard first.
Okay.
Okay. So why do we choose it? We'll talk about our 5-year plan in a second, but let's talk about why we chose a Leopard.
Why did we choose a Leopard? Because we sat on every catamaran in every boat show
for years,
trying to say, well, what do we need? What do we want? What's important to us? And there are a lot of manufacturers out there who have really good reputations, and Leopard was really, really up there in terms of great reputation. They have very similar layouts, right? But this one, the interior was wonderful. The big important thing for me up at the helm station is I want all of the lines to run back to the helm station. I don't want to have to leave the station to go reef the sails. I just want everything to be right there. It's a safety measure. And so that was one of the big things for me. And not a lot of the other cats did that.
No, we love the helm station.
Yeah, we do. We love the helm station.
And then when we got to when they introduced the 48 and the 44 with the forward cockpit, we're like, this is it.
Right.
And it's to this day, the forward cockpit is our favorite part of the boat. It's you're at anchor.
My closet is the favorite.
Okay, it's my favorite part of the boat. It's her second favorite part. We'll talk about her closet in a second.
Yeah, but one of the other things that really made an impression on us is because it's a charter boat, and because the boat is really specifically built for that, all of the systems are easy to access. There are great access panels everywhere, so everything is very easy to maintain and easy to repair, and that's important to us. You know, I don't want to have to be digging and searching for how to find what I want to fix. All I have to do if I've got any problem, I open up a panel and it's right there, and that's huge.
I mean, they originally designed these for a lot of it was going to the charter market,
right?
And they need to turn things around relatively quickly if something happens, and it's a boat, so things happen all the time. So it's so well made because it's so easy to get to everything, and not perfectly everywhere.
Yeah, but a lot better than a lot of the other.
Right, but it's really a huge plus for this boat, which a lot of people don't talk about or even realize. Right. You know.
And aside from all of that, there's one other reason that steered us toward the Leopard and the Moorings Charter Program is that my stepmother, from way back in the beginning of the Moorings, worked for them, and so she had some history there. So we were familiar with the company because of that and the reputation. So.
And so between that and then actually doing the first charter, seeing how it worked.
Yeah, we did. We
loving it. And it was our favorite boat, so it ended up being perfect for us. Right. So that's
what would be some practical advice. So I've been in the same position. You go to the boat show, they all start to look the same. Obviously, some design distinctions with forward cockpit. But what practical advice would you give to someone who is on a boat once we all get back to going to boat shows? Should they lift up hatches? Should they imagine themselves in the engine room changing the oil, or how would you guys kind of provide counsel on that?
That's the perfect answer.
That's the perfect thing. Right. Lift up every floorboard, open up every locker, top side, get in the engine room and see, can you fit in there?
And we see also, like, when you go to a boat show, everyone immediately goes into the saloon and the bedrooms and they start looking around like, yeah, we'll buy this. But you can tell the serious people, because they actually go up to the cockpit.
Right, sit at the cockpit.
Sit at the helm station and see what you can see the lines, see where the lines are.
See the sight lines.
See the sight lines, right? And that's I think a lot of people don't imagine that. Yeah. Like actually sailing the boat. How am I going to tack this boat by myself? Right. And if you go to another boat, people tend to not look at that, I think.
How easy is it to service your engine while you're sailing?
Right.
And how easy is it to get to your generator impeller? And and these are important things, right? If you're going to be doing this maintenance yourself, if you're going to be cruising and going to places far away where they don't have services, you have to be able to do it yourself. So the easier, the better. And also, one other thing I would say is, if you have the time and the ability, I would charter a couple of them,
right,
and spend a week on it, because that's what we did. Yeah. We spent a week on one brand, and then another week on the Leopard, and it's like, Leopard hands down. Right. So it was, spend time on it if you can. Right. That's what we would tell people.
Awesome, perfect segue to talk about the yacht ownership program.
Right.
Okay, why won't it work?
There we go.
There we go. Okay. You want to hit the other one?
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, okay. So there were several advantages for us to buy the boat through a charter program. Do you want to go first with finances, or you want me to?
Okay.
Okay, so some of the big advantages.
One of the things I learned is if you want to be happy on a boat, just do what your spouse says. Just don't argue with her. You'd be much happier on the boat that way.
I think it's that way in life.
Oh, maybe life also.
Yeah. We were not seasoned sailors when we started this. You know, we both had some experience. We had some knowledge, but there's no way that we were prepared to get on this boat and go to the Bahamas or anything like that. So buying it through a charter program gave us an opportunity to learn to sail the boat over time. We would take 4 weeks of vacation a year, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall, and we would do them with the moorings. And our boat was in the crewed yacht program, so we had a captain and a chef who lived on the boat. They took great care of the boat, but it also gave us the opportunity to be on our boat for a week with a captain and a chef. We got to learn things about how to dock and how to pick up mooring balls and how to anchor and trim the sails. And we learned all of these things. We would do that for a week, and then we would go rent a bareboat, and then we would charter that, and we would put into practice everything that we learned the first week. So over the course of the 5 years that we were in the Moorings charter program, we really learned a lot, and we gained our confidence that way. And one of the other things that's really important to me is routine maintenance and fixing anything that breaks. And every time anything would break on the boat, we would call the moorings, and they'd say, we'll have somebody there, right away.
And she'd be like, no, I want to fix it myself. Tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do. And they would. And if they
they would say, put the captain on. And she's like, I am the captain. Yeah, so I want to fix it myself.
Right. And they would, and they would teach me how to do it. And our knowledge of the boat is so much better because we chose that route. Right. And that's what worked for us.
And like we would charter with friends, and the generator would go out, and our guests would be like, this is the worst thing ever. And we were like, no, this is the best part of the cruise. Right. Because now we're going to learn how to fix the impeller in the generator. Right.
Or the seaweed out of the secondary
booster pump for the air conditioning, whatever.
I didn't even know there was a secondary booster pump. See, I learned that.
Right. So it's like, so anytime something would break, we would be so excited about it, and our guests would be like, are you going to ask for your money back? I'm like, no, it's the best part of the boat.
Think of the education I just got.
Right.
So no, it was good.
And since our boat was crewed, which I'll elaborate on, it meant the captain and the chef always lived on the boat, right? Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to be the captains of the boat, we really couldn't do it on our boat because the captain and the chef were there, and you can't kick them off the boat because they live on the boat. So what we do is we charter for a week with some friends, and then we get off that boat and we charter a bareboat for a week. And then we would be the captains, and we have some different friends come down.
Right.
So it really was an amazing experience for us.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to talk about the financial?
So financial stuff is, I mean, originally we really couldn't afford to buy the boat outright. So what we did was we by putting it into charter, we know our 5-year plan was we wanted in about 5 to 6 or 7 years, we knew we were going to retire. We were hoping to retire and then sail away, which is literally next week now. We're sailing away as soon as the weather window opens to the Bahamas. So we wanted, that was our 5 to 7 year plan. So by buying the boat 5 to 7 years ago, it enabled us to learn how to sail the boat. All we did was put a down payment down on the boat. Moorings gave us a guaranteed income. Doesn't matter how many people charter it. And it averaged about 20 or 21 weeks a year it was actually chartered. But again, ours had a captain and a chef on it. So it was in amazing condition. So we would take the check that the Moorings gave us every month, guaranteed income, and we just dump it into the mortgage, right? So we had a mortgage on the boat, down payment, mortgage on the boat. We get a check every month, just stick it right back into the mortgage. So that really worked well for us, knowing that in 5 years, we'd have a significantly reduced price boat because we paid so much into it between the down payment and the guaranteed income. And then we figured we have another year or two to pay it off, and then it's our boat and we can sail away. Right. So that's how the finances worked with that.
And you don't forget even though we did lose our first boat in Hurricane Irma, the Moorings still gave us that guaranteed income check every month until we got the payout from the insurance company. So that was a big help.
Right. So I'll mention that. So okay. Here's a really good way to explain it. We put a deposit down on the boat. We got a check every month for 2.5 years, 3 years,
3.5 years.
3.5 years. When the payout came out from the mortgage company, I'm sorry, from the insurance company, we took that, we paid off the rest of the note, and we had almost our entire down payment back, minus a couple $1,000s. Right. But in the meantime, every year for the last 3 years, you're allowed to sell 2 weeks of owner's time. You normally get like 8 weeks, and we couldn't use 8 weeks because we had jobs. So we would be able to sell 2 weeks of owner's time, and you make a few $1,000s every time you do that. So we lost a few $1,000s maybe at most after we got the check from the insurance company and from our down payment, but we actually made more money from selling owner's time. So it was
kind of a break even for us.
Yeah, actually a little bit ahead. And the insurance worked really well. So we got really, and I don't want to say lucky. It was,
no, the Moorings took
care of us. It worked exactly the way it should work.
Yeah, they took care of us.
So good with that, Chris?
Great with that. Just had to find the unmute button. Question here: when you guys did, it's the story of my life, right? Everyone's life on Zoom all the time. Just a question in terms of when you guys went to go buy it, did you put it in an LLC when you purchased it and took it out of the Moorings program, or what did that look like, or is it just personal?
We just did a personal, and the reason being is that I think it was limited we didn't really worry about an LLC because the Moorings had most of the liability, right?
Are you talking about after we took it out of the charter program?
No, when we bought
yes. Yeah, after.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So after we took it out of the charter program, yes, we did a few classes on it. So we put it into an LLC. So that helped with some financial stuff as well.
Yeah, we leased it to a sailing school so they could use it for their ASA 114 certifications. So that's why we did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, perfect. So
in the Moorings, you didn't really have to do that.
Right, you didn't have to do it in the Moorings.
Perfect. And then just a follow-up question. It's I think I know the answer, but just for the group here. So from a maintenance standpoint, so other people on your boat cruising around getting used all the time, did Moorings do a good job maintaining the boat and
we were
taking
really,
good care of it?
Yeah, we were really happy with it. No, look, it's a boat and people are using it, right? Ours is a little bit different because it was a crewed yacht. So there's a captain and chef who lived on it. So it was so well taken care of. Not that the other bareboats aren't, but ours was so well taken care of because these captains really have a lot of pride, right? And there's rules. There's no sand on the boat. There's no salt on the boat. You leave your shoes over there. Yeah. Don't touch anything in the galley. So
don't carry your own luggage downstairs. We will do it for you.
So as a crewed yacht, the boat was immaculate. And I would actually say it was in better condition than a lot of new boats.
Yeah,
right?
They made some improvements.
The captains would take it and fix things up and add a stronger winch or whatever they would do. It was really in great shape. Bareboats, they're used, right? They're chartered to people and they're used. But Moorings did I believe they do a really good job of maintaining the boats. And when you phase the boat out and you get the boat out of charter, they sit down, you go over everything with them, and they give you a list of things that they want to fix, and then you can hire your own surveyor, which we did, and he looks at things and he says, okay, this needs to be fixed also, with maintenance boat stuff, and then we showed it to Moorings. They're like, yeah, fine, we'll fix all that.
Great.
So it came back. I mean, it came back. If you have it in Moorings after 5 years, it comes back. It's a 5-year-old boat
that's
been used for 20 weeks a year, maybe 25 weeks a year at the most.
But it was in good
but they're in good shape, and whatever needs to be corrected gets corrected.
Yeah.
In our opinion, it's worked well for us.
You get to avoid the shakedown cruises of a new boat.
Absolutely.
Right. So
unhidden advantage. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. It's funny. Our first captain, he did everything right. So he doors were not, some doors weren't screwed in right. Something was wrong. They fixed everything for us. So we got to avoid all the shakedown stuff. So that was better for us,
right.
I think.
It was good.
Tell us about some of the experience that you got from being able to leverage that, with a picture of my favorite sail on the next slide.
Oh yeah. Experience. Yeah. I'm sorry. You're asking us how we leverage now what we learned back then?
Well, I was just segueing to this slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so.
Okay. So back for a second. So we had, with the charter, we had great vacations for 5 years. We basically, I think the British Virgin Islands is like our second home now. We just absolutely love it down there. It's perfect. But we also went to St. Martin, St. Bart's, St. Guila a few times, Bahamas once twice. Anyway, so that's, and again, summing up the mooring stuff, a help was just a phone call away.
Yeah.
So if something would break, we'd call and they'd talk us through it. If they couldn't fix it, then they'd come over and then we'd get in there and watch them fix it, or she would. The guys would call into the bilge and Adrienne would be right behind them. The guy's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm calling into the bilge with you to watch you fix something. Anyway.
Wait, go back.
Going back.
Yeah. So one of the other advantages of being down there in the BVI was the consistent weather.
Yes.
That was great. And it's so funny because the big trip back there was going to Anegada. It's 12 miles, you can't see land, and it's an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it is. That was the big trip, right? And now it's just like, no big deal. So we feel like we got a lot of great sailing experience. We had a comfort level leaving there that made us feel good about sailing it back to St. Pete.
All right. So. And I think a question, I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but comfort, as far as comfort level goes, it's funny. So someone asked a question like, how is your comfort level when you pick the boat up or now? And it's like, comfort level is very subjective. It always changes. So we were very comfortable sailing it in the BVI where it's consistent weather and consistent patterns and consistent seas, and we knew the area. But as you progress and as you do something more and you get into like 20 knot seas, 20 knot winds, and 4-foot seas, it's a little bit scary, but you learn how to do it. And next time it's not, you're comfortable, and then as we sailed the boat back from BVI back to Fort Lauderdale and St. Pete, we ended up having, the waves were about 2 to 4 feet over the top of the Bimini coach top. So we're talking 12, 14-foot seas. And, a year earlier, that would have horrified us. And now it's like, okay, we've done it. It's not scary anymore. The boat, we learned, the biggest thing we learned on the trip back from the BVI is that we trust this boat implicitly. Yeah. She handled the rough seas and the big winds so well. And that was the best part about the trip back, is that we learned that we really trusted our boat.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Okay. All right, we've already talked about where we've been.
Yeah,
our float plan, it looks a lot like everybody else's. You go where the wind and the weather allows you to go. So we're Bahamas, New England, Caribbean, the Med, the Pacific. It's all in the cards in the future. Yeah.
And if I want more specifics, we can tell you. But
it's pretty much the same.
Bahamas, we'll go up to U.S. coast for the summer. We'll head back down the Caribbean in November. We'll spend 2 years in the Caribbean, and then the following June, after 2 years in the Caribbean, we'll head up to Bermuda and then the Azores, and we'll do in the Med for 2 to 3 years. And all these trips, we're okay leaving the boat and coming home for a week or 2 or a month. We're not going to be Randy and Lenny where we're going to do it, leave the boat for 3 weeks, come home for a week, and we're not like that. But we'll do it where we'll come home very frequently because we'll miss our kids and our grandkids and our family, our parents.
Want to be home every year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So question here, probably on everyone's mind is, if they're on this journey of buying a boat, you start to think about, where am I going to keep it? Yeah. So in terms of your journey so far, has it been difficult to find places to dock?
Sometimes. It depends on where you are. We got lucky in St. Petersburg with the marina. They just built some new cat docks. But yeah, catamaran docks in the Caribbean and the British Virgin Islands and the Bahamas, you can find them there. We haven't been to New England yet. We understand that's a little more difficult, but some places don't have the space for you, so it is a little more.
Right, I just got to do a little bit of planning and just find out where you think you're going to be, and then start calling around.
Yeah.
And half the times they'll tell you there's no space available. Then you get there, like, oh yeah, we can put you here.
Or if you bet your eyelashes enough, they'll make a space for you.
Right.
Hey, is there room at the fuel dock for just a couple nights? Right.
I'm just
the guy in QS is like, there's no space ever for next 4 months. Don't even try. And then I sent Adrienne in to talk to him, and he's like, oh, I'll put you in the fuel dock for a couple nights. Yeah. Like, that didn't work for me.
So the whole lifestyle it's one that we need in our lives, right? Being on the water makes you feel good, right? The air is clean. The sound of the ocean is very soothing when it's not angry. We tend to eat much better on the boat, and I want to see the world, right? And I don't want to do it from an airplane. I know I'll get on airplanes. I'm not opposed to airplanes, but I don't want to deal with traffic of an RV. And I like being on the water. So this really was the way to go for us.
There's a reason why you see a lot of old sailors, right? Because you live longer when you're on the boat.
Yeah.
As long as you don't sink it.
Right.
Yeah, it's an alternative way to see the world.
Oh, video. Oh, there we are. We're sailing. Look at that. That's our parasailer. Coolest sail ever. God. We flew that thing going from Boca Grande Pass down to the Keys. And you can see right there, we had 7 knots of wind. We were going 6 knots. So it was pretty awesome. But our approach to sailing is conservative. We're not in this to win any races. We are going to allow the weather to dictate where we go and when. I don't need to fight storms because I have to go there. Right. And yeah, that's our approach.
And our rule is I'm a little bit more aggressive, just a little bit more aggressive than Adrienne is. So the rule is, if she thinks we should do something, I'll agree to do it. So we'll talk about it. We need to double reef. I don't agree with it. We'll talk about it. But then I'll always do what she tells me to do, or what she asks me to do.
You promise you won't make that face.
I don't promise that. So I'll agree. It's just like, I think we should reef here. And I'll be like, and I'll say fine, but I'll make the face, and she's like, don't make that face at me.
Well, because
anyway.
You realize that you actually do need to reef at 3 in the morning, of course, when it's dark out and it's not fun.
We double reef. We double reef when we're going to sail overnight, just so that we don't have to do that.
I don't think we have to, but
we'll do it anyway.
Smart. Hey, an ounce of prevention. Adrienne, there was something that you shared when we were doing the run through about just people meeting you on the boat, right? You can pick.
Yes, you can. So we have a few rules with guests, and I think that we talk about this in another slide, but we have a couple rules on the boat, and these are rules that we've learned over the last year and a half. The first rule is, when guests come on board, they can pick the time or the place, but they can't pick both. I'm not going to be someplace at a specific time because one of my guests wants to go there. I can't guarantee it. I'm not going to put myself or my husband or my boat at risk just to meet someone at a specific time and place. So they can pick the time or the place, but they can't pick both. And one of the other things, and I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, is, oh yeah, this is at the last slide, and things that we've learned. Assess your guests' ability to swim and comfort level in the water. Know their children and how they parent their children. We've had some people on board who couldn't swim, and that was difficult for us. And the issue with kids, you have to decide that for yourself.
The bottom line, as captains of the boat, you're responsible for people's lives. Right. So it's not always, it's supposed to be fun and games, but it's also a lot of danger involved. Yeah. So we just have to be we're choosing to be more careful because we don't want to risk anybody's lives.
Right. Including ours. You get somebody who goes overboard, and now your life is risk too, because you have to get them back, or you do everything you can. So those are some of the things in our conservative approach to sailing. Not that I'm the best parent in the world. I don't ever claim that, but if your kid doesn't listen at all, it's hard for me, because I'm responsible for your kid on my boat. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
Tell us how you guys decide where to go.
Wherever the wind blows.
No, that's not true at all. I basically do most of the navigating, and I've always been the planner.
And he says, do you want to go here or here? And I say, yes. I don't care.
I'm like, okay, so we basically decide where to go. We always have a general plan, and then it's always up for change. If you're not capable of doing quick changes deviating from your plan, you'll have serious problems on a boat, I think.
Yeah.
So we basically have a plan. We want to go someplace, and then we say we want to get there in a week. If it takes us 4 days to get there, or it takes us 14 days to get there, that's fine. So sometimes we have hard dates, right? So we'll always add an extra few days in for cushion. But yeah, we want to go do the Bahamas. We want to do the Exumas this year. So we're going to leave here next week. We're going to head through the Exumas quickly down to the Ragged Islands. We'll start south and then slowly work our way up the Exumas. And on the way down, if we want to stop for a few days extra, we'll stop, you know. And again, it's always important to be able to, I say calling an audible. Like we were sailing overnight to Key West, and the weather was terrible. The seas were big, not what at all what PredictWind told us it was going to be. Yeah. So we were tacking back and forth, and we're heading right towards Boca Grande Pass. So I'm like, I'm calling an audible, and we're not sailing overnight. We're going to go in. It's going to be a little bit dark when we get there. We'll drop anchor and we'll leave tomorrow. Why make ourselves miserable? You don't have to be in Key West tomorrow. Exactly. So that's one of the things we do. We use Navionics like most people. And I also have, it's in my Raymarine chart plotter, and I also have an iPad. We have 2 iPads as backups, and I always keep an iPad on the boat also. So, and of course, Garmin's Active Captain, that's part of Navionics now. So yeah, I think that's how we decide where to go.
That's how we decide.
Right.
Yep.
And then
you say, where do you want to go? And I say, yes.
And we do research. We have books and guidebooks, and we ask a lot of people, where's your favorite spot? You know, if you're going to the Exumas, what's your favorite island? And people tell us, and it's like, okay, great. So you find little out of the way places by just talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Must-haves. So we approached this slide differently. Everybody has a lot of the same must-haves, right? You got to have your PFDs, and you got to have your safety equipment and all that. And we're like, okay, everybody needs that. I need my KitchenAid mixer. That's what I need.
If she's not baking cookies, there's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And Jeff needs his coffee.
Yeah, and I found like the greatest coffee maker. It's like the AeroPress, and it's like the perfect cup of coffee. I think the Winds told us about that years ago.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, thank you guys, but yeah, it's like the greatest thing. Just put the filter in, put it in, squeeze it in, pop it out. It's all clean. You got a great cup of coffee. So that's my must-have is my AeroPress.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about more stuff later, of course. But
who does what? So
she does everything.
I don't really. We both really, well, we both clean the boat. We take pride in having a clean boat. Just don't look at it right this second on the inside. But we really take pride in cleaning the boat and making sure that things work well. Jeff is the captain of the boat. I'm capable, but he is the captain, and he's a phenomenal driver. Drives the thing in and out of tight spaces, docks it like it's nobody's business. I mean, he's phenomenal at that. He does all of the route planning. He handles all things electronic. That right over my head. I consider myself the bosun, the chief stew, the chef, and the mechanical engineer on the boat. So while we have things that we're both really good at, we both try to do everything so that we can.
Right.
But we really fell into, you know, we found what we're good at, and we try to keep our skill levels up all around.
Yeah.
But we found what works for us, and that's how it works.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I'm an anchor today. She's like, okay, so I'll drop the anchor and she'll take us in.
Yeah.
Right. So we try to do that, but generally we fall into our roles where she'll drop the anchor and I'll steer in.
Yeah.
Right.
We learned what we're good at.
Right. And she's good at everything.
No.
So she fixes everything.
Oh, aftermarket. This is the fun stuff.
Yes, we really wanted to touch base on this because this is really the fun stuff. So how do we take a charter boat and make it into our live aboard home sail around the world boat, right? So we'll talk about a few things that we added. You know, the charter boat from Moorings came with a lot of stuff. I mean, our water maker was already here, was already in the boat. So it came with a lot of things, but to make it really livable, more livable, we could have lived on it as it was.
Yeah, we could have.
But to make it more livable, we added things like radar and AIS, added a ton of solar, 1400 watts of solar, 900 amp hours of lithium, not 1800, Chris, but not only 900.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Laurent won't let us at this moment.
And it's working for us now. Victron energy and color controls, and a 3000 watt inverter, which I wish was a 5000 watt inverter.
Yeah, I do too.
A Rogue Wave Wi-Fi and cell phone booster. I'm pointing to the Rogue Wave thing. It's over there. So we have a network on the boat at all times. We added rub rails.
They're very important, by the way.
Rub rails, yeah, right.
Very, very
Save
important.
scratching.
Yeah.
Feathering props. We gained a maybe
a knot and a half.
Maybe a knot and a half of speed, and reverses
and
a lot
quiet,
better.
So quiet.
Yeah. A bigger Raymarine chart plotter. The enclosure, the helm and aft cockpit enclosures, was a game changer for
Absolutely.
us. We've got Stratoglass going down, so the cockpit is completely enclosed now when we want to. So while we're sailing overnight or it's raining, it's where you're buttoned up in there, so it's a lot safer and a lot more comfortable in that respect.
Oh, yeah.
And sunshades all along the side. We didn't cover the back with the Stratoglass because we don't really need a room. Hopefully, I don't really want to be in cold weather, so we don't really need a enclosed room. But at least this glass on the side.
Well, and the solar arch gave us a lot more coverage over the stern.
Yeah.
So we didn't need it as much.
So so outside also on a rock and anchor with the Manta swivel on it. So like those are some outdoor things we've done.
Yep.
And indoor, good.
Indoor things.
Oh,
so the little video, I love this room. I don't know if you can tell by the look on my face, but this was the forward starboard cabin. And of course there was a bed in it with 2 drawers and 2 shelves, and that was it. And you know, we decided we're going to live on this boat. We needed our things. We needed clothes, and I needed a washing machine, and I needed a place to put things. So Just Catamarans built this amazing chest of drawers for us, which you can see how huge the drawers are. Kenneth did a phenomenal job. If you look behind me, there's some more shelves, some drawers there that used to be just 2 big shelves that really didn't do anything. Above the washer and dryer back there behind me, which you can't really see, they built a shelf for us. So we put a Dometic refrigerator freezer on top of that. So this room is really, it's just like my favorite room in the boat.
That's our laundry hamper.
That's our laundry hamper, yeah.
And it ruins my 3-tier laundry system that I have. Which we can go into. Well, it's my 3-tier laundry system, but so the laundry hamper is pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is if anybody wants to make this change, make the laundry hamper smaller, because if we fill that up, we have 7 loads of laundry in our machine. So make it smaller; it'll force you to do laundry more often.
See, sometimes I get it actually into the laundry hamper.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that.
Okay. So
that was a huge thing. That and the solar system. Those were the 2 big ticket items that we did to really turn this charter boat into our home. Yes, we could have lived without it, but I wouldn't want to. I love everything that we did. Some of the pictures below, we added some access panels just to make getting to things a little bit easier. Jeff has to be able to have his Raisinets and his Pop-Tarts. So we have to have a place to store them.
Fast, they need to get them fast.
I need to get them fast. And so we added some of those things. And you know, we put all these things on our wish list because we had seen other people do them. And when we found out how much it was going to cost, we thought, well, you know, maybe we'll live without it. But then we sailed 5 weeks and said, you know what, I need this. I need this. I don't need that. I thought I would, but I don't. And so that's how we decided what to do. One of the other things we did is we converted our heads from saltwater flush to an either or saltwater or freshwater. We have a toggle switch. That's very important because the marina's water tends to be really nasty, and you don't want to flush your toilets with salt water from a marina. Yeah. So we switched that. That was worth doing. And a lot of people ask us, you know, because we took this cabin and converted it to a closet, laundry room, workroom, because all the tools are stored in there. What did we do with the head in that cabin? Because the 4-cabin version also had 4 heads, and we left the head, so we each have our own bathroom, and that works great for us.
So instead of having an owner's version with one beautiful forward bathroom with like a huge bathroom, we have his or her heads instead.
And all the same closet space.
So it worked well
works
for us.
Great for us. We love it.
We also added a new mattress, which is we only did one because they're really expensive, and the other ones are kind of hard. And I figured our guests could okay for a week, but after a week they're going to want to leave.
That's okay.
You don't want to make it too comfortable because they might never leave.
Exactly.
Right. Speaking of guests and places to go, what are some of your most favorite places that you've anchored so far? On the next slide.
Yes.
Yep, we're trying to get there.
So our favorite secret, I don't know if it's secret, but our favorite place was coming back from the Bahamas, right by Chub Key, on the east side of Chub Key is called Fraser Hog Key. And we came over there, the winds were blowing from the west, so I figured we'd duck in on the east side over there. And it was like the most beautiful place. We were there all by ourselves. It was just, we had a really great adventure, which is kind of a long story.
It's a long story, I can't talk about.
We had a really great adventure on the island over there, met some really cool people, cool people live there. But that was an amazing little secret place, I think. And it's a great stopover between Nassau and Bimini. So Fraser Hog Key was our favorite. Conception Island.
Yeah, that's the picture on the left side.
That's just the perfect place, I think, in the world.
So my favorite story about that island is we dropped anchor there. I think it was 12 or 15 feet of water. I can't remember, but we dropped the anchor and the water's so clear there that I watched the anchor set because I could see it from the boat. It was so beautiful. Yeah. And it's an uninhabited island. So it's just absolutely stunning. And
the last one is on every time we charter, the night we would leave,
the night before
we would leave, our last night on charter, we'd always anchor at Dead Man's Cove, Dead Man's Beach, Dead Man's Bay on Peter Island.
Something on Peter
Island. It was right across from the moorings base, and we'd always anchor there. And we got comfortable anchoring there. It's a really easy place. It was beautiful. And every time we would leave, like that morning, we're going back to the base, and we'd be like, do we have to go back to the base? Can we just take this and go home? And we're always like, someday we'll do that.
Someday the answer to that question will be no, you don't.
Right. And then last year when we did it, it was like, wow, we're not going back to the base.
That's right.
We're taking the boat home.
It's ours. We're taking it.
And a real quick story. So we left the BVI. So for years, we had them moorings to help us. Anything broke. We left the BVI. We anchor in St. Thomas in Charlotte Amalie Harbor. And as we're anchoring, the anchor chain gets completely stuck on the windlass. I'm like, oh, wait, no, we can't call the moorings anymore. We got to fix this ourselves.
Yeah,
so we got our tools out and we fixed it. I'm like, oh my God, we fixed this ourselves.
Like the first thing we ever fixed by ourselves.
And it was like a day after we left. I'm like, this is cool. We can do this.
Yeah.
Anyway, would we do anything different?
I don't think so. I'm very happy with what we did.
We're very, very blessed. It worked out. We had a 5 to 7 year plan, and somehow it all worked. Of course, we lost the boat in the middle of it, but we called an audible and got this new boat, which is amazing. We love it. But no, we wouldn't really do anything different.
I don't think so.
No, it just worked out perfect for us.
Yeah.
Very, very, very blessed.
We're very fortunate. And we know it. And everything just worked out. And I think we're in a good place. We don't claim to be really seasoned sailors at the moment, which is one of the reasons we are so conservative, but we're getting better. And every time we leave the dock or every time we leave the anchorage, we get better. And
when we left Key West to go back to St. Pete real quickly, one of our friends said, I really wouldn't go. The weather's not good. I'd wait a few more days.
Oh yeah, that was dry tour.
And I'm like, well, what does it mean? He goes, well, it's going to be bad. Oh. And I was like, and we're like, it was bad being in the anchorage because it was really rolly and windy. So we're like, well, let's see what bad really is. If we have to turn around, we will. And we sailed when someone said we should. Our friend said we shouldn't. And it was bad, but it
wasn't any worse than the anchorage we were in.
It was maybe a little bit worse.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
But we did it, and we learned what bad was, and we survived it, and the boat survived it, and we were very tired the next day.
Okay, but let's elaborate on it so people don't think we're stupid. It was sustained 26 to 28 knots of wind with 4 to 6 foot seas on the beam. And I thought, for God's sakes, this boat can handle that. We may not like it, but this boat is built for a lot bigger stuff than that. So if we can't do that, then there's a problem. Yes. We can't live this lifestyle if we can't live through that.
Right. 30 knots sustained winds, double reef main, double reef jib. We were doing 9 knots.
Yeah, the whole way.
It was great. It was sporty, but it was great. Boat handled it like a champ.
Except for when you went to go to sleep.
Yeah, I left the hatch open.
Yeah.
Flooded our cabin.
Yeah.
As Chris Parker says, a brisk sail.
It was a brisk
a very brisk sail.
It's a very brisk sail.
Sporty.
One more slide here, and then we have 10 questions that I want to make sure that we get to. What's the best advice you'd give to folks who are considering doing this?
Let's go. We want to go through the questions, Chris, so make sure we have everybody.
Oh, well, I was going to let you do that slide, and then we'll go through the questions because we have time carved out at the end.
Good.
Well, we addressed the best advice, and that's dealing with your guests. Make sure you know their level of comfort around the water. The other thing is just, if you think you like this, go charter and figure it out. And then if you think you do, just go do it. Yeah. Do it now while you can. How many people do you know who work their whole lives and just for this one moment, and then for whatever reason they retire and they can't do what they wanted. So if you can find a way to go sailing now, even if it just means chartering 2 weeks a year, do it. Find a way to do it.
And that's why moorings work so well for us, because we put a deposit down and we sail for 3-4 weeks a year. And then after 5 years, if we don't like it, we just sold the boat and been done with it, right?
Right.
But we loved it.
Yeah.
So
the best advice is do it now.
Do what makes you happy.
Do what makes you happy. That's right. That's it. That's all we got.
All right, awesome. So, yeah.
Let me tell you this picture. We went sailing quickly. We went sailing with some friends of ours in the Pacific Northwest in the San Juan Islands. And if you look just above the text where it says, if we don't get to your questions, you can see what looks like little grass. That was literally 3 feet behind the stern. The rock in the middle of the picture, all of that was underwater when we dropped anchor the day before. We never even saw that. Yeah. And the morning we're sitting outside having coffee and what the hell is that?
Right behind the boat?
And it was a massive rock that we have no idea how we didn't bang into that in the middle of the night. So.
San Juan Islands, those are beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Okay, sorry, on to your questions.
No problem. So Anders wants to know, quick question here. Where do you store the fuel for your tender and how many gallons do you guys carry?
So for the tender, we have a 6 gallon
flat jug, right?
Yeah, 6 gallon tank, and it's like we keep it right on the tender. Some people tender, they keep it in the forward forepeak. Ours we have an AB tender, it doesn't fit in there, so I just put it right there.
And this is probably more the extra fuel, I think is what they're after. Do you guys have a?
So we had another 6 gallon, or it was a 5 gallon tank right in our forward starboard locker.
Yeah, we kept it up. Yeah.
But then I had it there for like 2 years, and I looked at it. I'm like, I don't know if I trust this. It's gas. I don't know if I trust this anymore. So I disposed of it a couple of weeks ago, actually, because I'm like, I don't trust this anymore. I forgot how long I had it there for.
Yeah, but we'll do that. We'll fill that up when we leave for the Bahamas, because we'll need it. But
forward starboard locker.
Yeah.
Is where we keep it.
One quick question, if you guys are comfortable sharing here. General ballpark. I know you can get crazy here, but from a modification standpoint, you know how much you guys have spent? Have you guys calculated yet, or?
6 figures. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can go literally from nothing to the first number could start with a 6-figure number starting with 2.
Ours doesn't start with a 2.
Ours starts with a 1. Ours is a low 1.
Yeah.
And we did a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot.
I mean, the folding props were $12,000.
No.
6,000?
I think they were 3,000.
Quick question here. I'm going to move us along, try to answer as much as we can here in the next 2 minutes. Did the guaranteed income from the moorings, was it close to covering your payment on the boat, or what was
it was a lot
more than double.
It was a lot more than double. I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was over double.
Yeah, so once we had the deposit down, we never paid a penny for everything. No upkeep, no maintenance, no insurance.
Nothing. They paid everything.
And all we do is take this big check and dump it into the mortgage every month. Right. So no, we never paid a penny. Just we paid for a few $1,000s, to charter the boat was like $600. I think it's
a week. I don't know what it is now.
I think it's like $1,000 now, but that's a $12,000 or $15,000 charter. We'd pay like a few $100s.
Right.
Jano or Janet, I hope I'm saying that name right, wants to know if you had, is the Leopard the right balance between kind of comfort and size, or if you had to kind of pick one or the other, what's your thoughts on that?
Our thought.
So the 45 we think is perfect for us.
For us it is.
The 50 is a big boat.
It's
it's beautiful. It's a lot to clean, and we don't really need it. The 45 is a perfect size for us. We're not going to win races, but we're not really slow either.
Right, so we're sailing 8 or 9 knots.
Right. So it's to us, this boat is the perfect size for us. It's fast, but not like a performance ultramare catamaran that zips but we have a lot of volume inside. Again, for us, it's the perfect boat. We wouldn't change a thing. We love it.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on every single catamaran and every boat show for the last 7 years. And every single time, even after we bought ours, the most important thing to us was we would go sit on all the other ones and we would say, nope, still love this one the best.
And we have friends that need to go fast. They need to sail fast. So maybe you don't get this boat. If you need to go, I need to win races and go like 12, 15 knots.
Yeah, that's not who we are.
And final question here, and then there's some unanswered questions. There's an email address on the screen, folks, who we didn't have a chance to answer their question. If you shoot us a K, we'll either route it over to Adrienne and Jeff for them to answer. If we know the answer, we can also do that. But Chris wants to know, if you had to kind of choose this all over again, let's say that you're going to go buy a brand new boat, would you buy the 4-cabin version still and make that modification, or would you do the owner's version of the boat?
I would not buy the owner's version. I would buy this version for the main reason that I have this big, beautiful closet, laundry room, utility room, and we don't have to share a bathroom. And that's the reason for me. I don't need my own bathroom as long as it's big enough for him to have his side and me to have my side. Since these bathrooms are not really big enough for that, we each have our own, and I just don't have to look at his.
I just shut the door.
Well, thank you both. That's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for spending part of your day with us, everyone on the call today, and please take a moment to give us your feedback on the next screen. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.